Hi everybody, this is Erika from EDGExotics. I just wanted to jump on here today and do a video by myself. Well, not really by myself. I do have a friend in my hand who I'll introduce in just a minute. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how I got into this. David's always kind of been a reptile person, and he's owned a few in the past, but before we got into ball pythons, I had never owned one. So this is a little different for me. I have never really been afraid of snakes or reptiles in general, but it was kind of I'll appreciate it from afar kind of thing. Like, they're really cool, but you can stay over there. So I ended up getting into it because David and I were looking to get a pet. It's not a good time for us to get a dog, which we both really want, but someday. So we were trying to think of another pet that we can get together for our apartment, and we kind of just decided to go to a reptile store. Initially, I was more interested in bearded dragons or, something along that line. It was something about snakes that I was kind of just appreciated from afar. But eventually I don't know, we were in the pet store, the reptile store, I should say, and we're just looking around, and he's like, hey, why don't we check out some snakes, some ball pythons? And I was like, okay, like, we'll check them out. So he was holding one, and again, I was, looking and appreciating from afar and talking to the guy in the reptile store. And eventually, by the end of that trip, I ended up touching it. And that was as far as I would go that day, and that was fine. So later that night, I did a lot of my own research. David had been doing research, but I did a lot of my own to look up the things that I wanted to know and I was more worried about when owning reptiles. So I did a lot of research, and the thing that I was more afraid about was, oh, he's making an appearance. Hi. I was more worried about getting bit. I had never been bit by a snake before. I didn't plan on getting bit by a snake, and that's where where I was at that point. But after all my research, I learned that ball pythons really pretty much just ball up. They're more scared than we are, and they pretty much just ball up as a defense mechanism. They'll strike defensively, but it's rare that, well, in my experience, it's rare that I've actually gotten bit. So in that research, I just, I felt more comfortable after reading up on it. So the next day I asked David to go back to the reptile store, and by about halfway through our time there, I asked to hold one, and David was actually holding this guy. Hi. This is Negan. He is our first ball python. So David was holding Negan. He likes the camera, so he'll probably come say hi. There he is. He's a vanilla ball python. But we were holding some snakes. David was holding Negan. I was holding another ball python. And I was just kind of letting myself get more comfortable with it. By the end of that visit to the reptile shop, I was showing other people because people were coming over and they thought it was really cool. So I was actually showing the one that I was holding off to other people. And the one I was holding was cool, but Negan's personality, I guess, people say snakes don't really have personalities, but he was a lot more chill, I guess. And he was just hanging out in David's hands, and we ended up switching, and I held him and he held the other guy, and we ended up putting a deposit down on Negan before we left that day. The only reason we didn't leave with him is because we wanted to make sure we got his setup as perfect as possible before we brought him home, make sure all the temps were right, the humidity was holding, make sure that we had everything all set for him to give him the best home. So Negan's been with us now since I think December of 2019. And yeah, and we've had him ever since. We did pair him last season, but he's not getting paired this season. But yeah, he's just a vanilla, and he is our boy, and we love him. He's really the one that got us started on this. I just wanted to share that story. We've spoken to some people in the past that have been like, oh, you know, I really want one, but my partner or my spouse or, you know, so-and-so is afraid of them. And I just wanted to show that, you know, that can change. Again, I wasn't like ever really afraid, but yeah, that definitely changes. Now I'm, you know, I'm in this with David, and I just wanted to come on here and share my side of this experience. We will eventually share how we got from this guy to all of this behind me. But I just wanted to share my portion and how I got into it and got used to snakes, and now am involved in all this. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications when we post new videos. Until then, I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Close it out. You want to close it out?